dear listeners, to the WIP Show brought to you by Kimaya Creatives, where we dive deep into the world of writing and creativity. I am Namrata, your host and the founder of Kimaya Creatives. WIP, you might ask. Well, it stands for Writing in Progress, and that's exactly what we are all about here. Each week, we bring you inspiring conversations with talented writers, delving into their journeys, their challenges, and the stories behind their stories. From seasoned authors to aspiring wordsmiths, we explore the nooks and crannies of the writing process. Whether it's overcoming the writer's block, finding inspiration in the unlikeliest of places, or simply navigating the wild, wonderful world of words, we are here for it all. So grab your favorite writing mug, settle into your coziest writing nook, and join us as we celebrate the beauty and the chaos of the writing life. Our guest today is the brilliant Ranga Iyer. Ranga is a debut author of Butterflies of Success and has a background in English literature from the University of Mumbai. She worked as a lifestyle journalist at Bombay Times and Bangalore Times in India. After moving to Canada, Ranga continued contributing to online magazines, including Suhag, while working in various industries, from the fast paced environment of restaurants and retail to assisting in a photo studio at Amazon. Currently, she's busy working on her second book. Welcome, Ranga. It's so wonderful to have you here and to this podcast.
What an intro, my God. You covered my whole lifeline just like that. Thank you so much. Especially love the chaos, because our what writers are like mostly like it's such a chaotic world. I love that word. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure. And I watched like I think series of your season one,
Mhm.
some of the poets, some of the like, oh my God, what an amazing, I really was inspired actually. And I sent some of those to my relatives. So congratulations, you're doing such a fab job. And thank you so much for having me over.
Oh
Thank
wow, that's so kind of you.
you.
Thank
Great
you, thank you.
service. You know how many people support writers. So this is like great for our community. You're doing a great service, Namrata. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, Ranga, starting with our first question today, can you share a bit about your journey from being a journalist to becoming an author?
You know, cliche, but that's a fact. We all start with Enid Blytons and Bobbsey twins and Hollisters and whatnot when we are young, right? So I think around fifth grade I wrote a small poem and I was beaten by my history teacher because it was very fun. You're like, you don't do these things. Because I was trying to be like, I didn't know I was being like sarcastic or whatever. Fifth grader, what. And then, it went on to like essays and this and that. And then finally Mills and Boons, and you are like, okay, you know what? And then of course the classics, Russian classics,
Yeah.
English classics. You read the Bronte sisters and Austen and then the whole gamut. And then you think like, and I was always scribbling. So one day I entered Times of India building and I said, you know what, with these scribbles, I want to get a job. That's how the journey of journalism started actually. And
Wow.
then I entered, yeah, and then I was given an opportunity by Avadhesh Vyas of Dharmayug. Those days,
Mhm.
Dharmayug used to be there, and Avadhesh Vyas was the editor. He must have thought, what is this 18, 17-year-old thing coming here? He asked me to write on extramarital relationships in Hindi. And I wrote my first article in Hindi, extramarital relationships. Don't ask me how, I don't remember anything. And I was paid like some money for that. And then I after that, went back to school, forgot all about it and whatnot. But then the writing continued. I was writing stories, I was writing anything, that damn thing that entered my mind. And college was again very encouraging because essay competitions. And one of my teachers, English teachers in my school, I studied in Ambernath in Thane district. So she encouraged me with my, essay writing and everything. So I think somewhere it was there. I did not realize. Then when I became a journalist, I was looking at a lot of things and then it connected. Namrata, we do a lot of things we just create like dots, little dots. Some time later in life, all the dots get connected and say, this is, oh my God, this is exactly what it is,
Yeah, true.
And then I looked at my writings and then I said, nay, I have to like, get serious about writing. I did publish a couple of stories, short stories and all. And then, of course, journalism publishing and everything. So, and then my blog was that I was writing on my blog any damn thing that came. I said, no, 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 no. Now you have to like, then I started this book around, I have couple of like plenty of drafts, but this one I took up and I started working seriously 3 years ago. And I said, you know what? It's a story that has to be told because there's so much of showing about wealth these days. But the foundation, the base is nothing first, and then you do that. Because you see, everywhere middle class is like just booming. Fantastic, fantastic. But you have to also balance yourself and remember that where we came from, maybe grandparents, maybe great grandparents. So that I thought, because I have a generation that is the same as, and I see them. So I said, this is such an apt story for these times, and I have to say that. That is how the story happened. That is how my journalism career, I think, nudged me to rather than pushed me to just get there. And then also, I came to a point in life where I wanted to like do something with my life. Little bit of retail, little bit of Amazon, and little bit of this and that. I said, you know what, it's time to just again connect the dots and do something. And that's
Yeah.
why it all happened. And today I'm with you here.
Wow. I must say, the first thing I noticed after this entire answer is your confidence about walking into Times of India at the age that you said that. Because, even when we are young as writers, I agree with what you said that, especially in the Indian society, we are not encouraged to take up such alternate careers. First thing that, most of the parents are like, okay, this does not help you pay bills. Even if you want to become a sports person, you want to become a singer, that's one of the first things that your parents, they are being cautious because of what they have seen.
I
They
know.
want us to have a proper job which at least encourages us to pay our bills and everything. And after hearing that, our confidence is already down in dumps. So I really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure that listeners should be taking notes from this response, that it's all about confidence. That's it. That's what should matter. You are the
What
first
else
person
is
to
there
believe
to
in your
lose?
work.
What is there to lose for a 17-year-old? You just walk. And I don't know why Hindi. I think that's the only editor that was available at that time. The
Yeah,
security guard was like,
possible.
whatever. And that's how I started. And it's been a joyride, actually. Life has been so much of learning, and I wouldn't say the fun use the word fun. It's too frivolous. It's like experiences, right? And it's beautiful, beautiful.
True, true. So, what inspired you to write Butterflies of Success? Given your background in journalism, did that influence your storytelling approach and, of course, the story, the way you wrote it?
Approach, yes, and tons of those readings that I had. And I've always been fascinated by Pearl S. Buck's The Good Earth.
Wow.
You know, it's such a, I don't know, it does something to me. The first line, where there is no tea in the house, imagine. And then he has the riches, then he gets a second. I mean, everything that happens after that, but that starting point, how he plans, it's not love, just that he needs a partner who will do the work for him and all that, you know, and maybe she'll bring some good luck as well. And then that is the first thing that comes to my mind. And the other second important thing is I grew up in Thakurli.
Okay.
It's between Dombivli and Kalyan. It's in Thane district. I grew up among the Kolis, the Agris, Koli community. That's where my home was. My parents migrated from Tiruchinappalli, like grandfather migrated. We lived in Parel very briefly, then Matunga, then because it was cheaper there, so they all moved to. And I have seen them. So you can say my family was perhaps a little, slightly educated, job going people kind of a family, as opposed to the bustling Thakurli atmosphere that was there, farmers not getting to farm, and then poverty all around, lying, thieving, everything, selling liquor, country liquor, brewing, and all that. And the Koli community, Agri community, they're such large hearted people. They really live life. They could be like struggling inside with no food on the table, and the police coming and knocking their brew off, or whatever the 100 things. But Ganesh Chaturthi, Holi, everything. So it's a mix of life. This is what life is, right? Hardships, and then you have that.
True.
So then it all, I really used to have fun. I still speak the local lingo of Agri, so I'm so comfortable. I don't know why, because I grew up 20 years of my life. And Powerhouse was only employment for those people and people who are not as skilled or educated. And those things, bit by bit. And I have seen unwed mothers. I have seen, like a lot of those things I incorporated in there because I have lived, I have experienced.
Right.
And coming to the journalism part, those were like young impressions. But actually, in journalism, I saw when I was doing local stories for kerosene bribing and ration card bribing, so much happened. So all that came together and formed this book.
Wow, that's some inspiration. You can say actually you went back like 3, 4 decades back with this story and brought the reader back here. So
Because
I
I was always writing, right? I made a
yeah,
journal, and I was like, observations were my thing to fall back upon because I had plenty of observations. And then the memories, of course, the memories of all the local cuisine, the food and the
yeah.
smells and everything. All that came alive. And I just said, you know what? And it happened. I did not plan. It happened, chapter by chapter, chapter by. I would sit with myself and these visions would come. I would visualize and then write. And that's
Wow.
how it happened.
That's impressive because
When you're
the
in that
thing that I
water,
noticed is that the theme of resilience and determination runs so strongly in this story. And it's not only inspiring, it actually there were portions which gave me goosebumps. When I saw that, that's how powerful that some stories were because it's very rare to see. Of course, I know that there are women like this who exist that you've mentioned. It's not that you have written something out of your imagination, but it still feels empowering. Even in 2025 in India, we need these women. We still feel that, this is very inspiring as a woman to see that there's another woman who's trying to make a solution out of the problems that have been served. Instead of trying to play the victim, and say that, okay, I have been victimized and I give in to my circumstances. So, were there any characters who influenced you?
women, we, us, all about us. It's how we look at ourselves. The day you start indulging in self pity or victimhood, and the woke generation, it's all about me, me, and what. I don't mean to like say that, but we've also been, now it is more obvious thanks to the social media.
Yeah.
We've also had, mamas and mummies and kaku, kasakani, are, all that drama. But there was no social media to like, oh, somebody to comment and all. And we would gossip at home saying, Are Bapre, she started her Ramayana or whatever that is. So it is all there. And the same women or women would find solutions for their homes. How to, they, what? My mother, she was an immigrant, right? She raised us. So I used to see her strong and being there. Never seen her crying, Namrata. Never. Maybe she did it in private, but she was always smiling and singing and being with us. Regardless, she never judged us what we did. I mean, as in,
Yeah.
she supported our
True,
choices.
true.
And those strengths,
Hmm.
when there is nothing, to make something out of nothing. And today we are all okay, well settled, or whatever you call in the regular terms, 2 square meals and a roof over. So every woman, like you, for example, you made such a success of the team, right? You had some inspiration that you built it and you wanted to support writers. Why did that happen? Maybe you have your own sorrow stories and you said, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to convert this. So each one of you, each one of us are examples. We women, I don't mean to, like, it's not about genders, but just that because I know a woman, because I am one, therefore I speak. I'm sure men also go through the same emotions we go through, no doubt about that. But holding together, being a nurturer, yet making a difference in the world, it's not easy for no other gender but women. We nurture others, sometimes forget to nurture ourselves, but then remember and say, nay, I have to do this. So it's all about that. Women inspired me. All my stories, you'll find women inspired. It is about, like, I know the gender, therefore I do that, not out of anything. And that is the thing I saw in Mukta. Mukta is not single character, by the way. She is an amalgamation of all women that we know, I know. You'll find a bit of her in you.
Yeah.
Somebody else will find. So I actually, that is how I created her. And I added a little bit of, the Ardhanarishwara concept.
Yeah.
So I first thought of her as a man, and then I added all these nuances and made her a strong woman who's supporting. While she's supporting her husband, she also has to take care of her children, and be there for them and be strong.
Mm.
The instances, like all the story that is there, she is there strongly behind her daughters at the same time with her husband too. Imagine who can balance that. When her husband is weak, she's standing there. When her daughters are weak, she's standing there. So that is exactly what inspired me, and that is how the story came about.
That's amazing. One other thing that I noticed is that Butterflies of Success challenges the conventional definition of poverty. And there is one specific term where you say that, poverty is a relative term. So can you elaborate on your perspective about this?
So today you're sitting here, you have a little bit of comfortable career, all charted out, whatever. But in some areas, you must be thinking, I wish I had that, or I wish I had that.
I'm sure everybody, each one of us does that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I'm sitting in Canada, I think, I wish I could wear that salwar kameez, or, I wish I could eat that pani puri. Or when we don't have wealth, we think, sitting in a flight would be such a beautiful thing to do. And when we are in there, like flight and whatever we wanted to achieve, we feel, I wish I could go back. So there's always that need for something different. When you're poor, you want something else. When you're there, you want something else. And also talking about poverty itself, it's how you perceive poverty. If you think, oh, I don't even have 2 square meals and I'm done with it, I can't manage anything, because your focus is on food, and it's good because you're hungry.
Yeah.
But you have to think, I don't want to be in this situation and I want to get off it. I'll be hungry for like 4 or 5 meals I won't have, and I'll be very hungry, but let me think of something. So, how you tackle poverty, how you attack that thing that is hurting you, that is a relative term. You could not have money, you could be poor. At the same time, you could have money, but you could not have education or the intellect to have that education. That is poverty of imagination, poverty of intellect, poverty of mental. And this is poverty of money. So it's each person, how we perceive poverty, that is the relative term here. And that is how it is, no? Like, poverty, what is this? Just people think no money means poverty. No, that is poverty, but there are different versions of poverty, and it is relatable how you relate to poverty. I come from a poor background, but I will see things differently. She comes from a rich background, maybe she sees things differently. You can have everything, still have nothing, and you can have nothing but still have everything. It's just that.
That's such a powerful way of saying it. Reminds me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. when they try to explain us that consumer behavior, I mean, it's a very marketing concept, but when they try to explain us that the moment you put yourself in that hierarchy, you understand why you crave for some things and why the other person, irrespective of what background they come from, they crave for some things very different, because that's what they have seen in abundance. And if you apply that in personal life, in therapy and everything, even emotions, like you come from a dysfunctional family, you crave love, that becomes your biggest need. And of course, then in your definition, that makes that person very poor when it comes to those feelings of experiencing true love, or having a very selfless kind of love that one should have got as growing up. That's so beautifully put. I loved your response here, Ranga. It just moved me to think so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God. But that is, it's us, we are so powerful.
Yeah,
When we find the blocks and bumps, we sometimes forget our strength.
yeah,
Please do not forget your inner strength. Call it, it will come to you. Just give it a call, it will come to you.
true.
Please, just do that. That's all I ask. I'm not saying there is no poverty, that everybody is strong. No, we all are so weak. At the same time, there is something hidden. We have to just pull it out and we are okay.
Yeah, very true.
It takes time. It takes time.
Very true. So moving on to our next question, Ranga, the question is, the struggles of financial instability, societal expectations, and gender dynamics are woven into your narrative very deeply. So what were some of the challenges in portraying these themes authentically that you faced while writing?
As a writer, the first thought was to not make it too, sticky, emotional, and like, oh, tearjerker, or even too frivolous. That balance to strike that real chord, because life, you lose a job, you don't have paychecks. Then you face poverty, like what will I do for my next bill or whatever, food, or these days it is that. Those days it was like, shall I go to the pawn shop and pawn something or sell something? So different, right? So every time I came across that situation, I was like, okay, this to that. So the challenge for me was to not make it too frivolous and show that the strength can still emerge. You can still put on your thinking cap and make a solution, find some solution. So that was a poverty part. The other part was, gender. Every Now it is more open. You can, even extramarital relationships are not judged, or premarital sex is not judged. It's like, okay, cool to have all these things, fine. But it's so much of people saying that, it's okay, I'm going to do this. Even those times, set in the 70s, people still did it but did not speak about it. They did it, and it was all within that small confine of their family, or just the parents, or just the sisters maybe. So that was very easy for me to deal with, because it's life. People do things, people fall in love, they have premarital or postmarital or one night. It's all part of living life. It is routine, it's no big deal, the
Right.
hangama. It's just like, go with the flow. I'm not endorsing it, but it's just saying it's part of life. It's a piece of life that people have lived, and they're still living, except that now they talk openly because they want it to be accepted and not hidden behind the doors or something.
True.
Fantastic. Fantastic. There is a progress. So, what I'm trying to say is, even those times, women still held themselves together and had that power, or whatever you want to call. They knew, or sometimes they didn't know. Like Nivedita, you know the story. She just opts. She says, yeah, you know what? I would rather have that than face the societal pressure. Why not? So she does it so, in a very clinical fashion, almost like no emotions involved kind of a thing. That's exactly how life is, right? Sometimes you just have to find solutions to your problems without thinking how it is going to affect me, what the society is going to think. It's all about self. And it represents today's generation, except that, we call this generation, you guys are so selfish. No, it's just like they think for themselves. It's okay. And they're making it very clear. Those days they were not made very clear. That's it. So gender was like very much a thing. Like we women have always been strong and knew what we wanted, and we went after that even then, and with all the restrictions imposed on us. That was more challenging for us to do those things those days. Then perhaps now, I'm not too sure, because it's a vast world, different pockets, different thinking. You can't generalize. So I'm sure there is some groups or some places that still happens like what I have mentioned. Some places are like pretty much open. It depends. So gender was very much like, I wanted to make it like very clear. Please don't put us in a box like, you're a devi, you're a vamp. You're nothing. We are just human beings living our lives and doing what we think has to be done. And that is all. And I wanted to say that so strongly, I hate this Devika image wala scene, sacrifice. Oh my God, please sacrifice, please give me a break. That is not what I want for women, There's so much more to us, so many layers, na, Namrata,
Yeah.
so many layers. We are layered. I don't know why the society says, ye vamp hai, ye devi hai, like she's a perfect mother. No perfection and all. Come on, get rid of it. So stupid. Sorry.
No, no, of course not. I agree with you. And I always, even in my, normal casual discussions also, I always say that everything cannot be black and white. And that includes us as women also and everything. We can't be good or bad. There are some gray areas where we are struggling to make it good, make it combination of everything and make it just work, because sometimes life just has to go on. And you
Make
might
it
say
work.
my choices were wrong at that time because you are judging it from a perspective where you've not seen what my struggles were. What pushed me to that decision where I felt that okay, this was the best that thing that I could do at that time.
Nobody is inside you. You are
Exactly.
inside you. You know the best for you, right?
Yeah.
You can't say like, hey, I'm going to have a one night stand so that I can have a baby. What do you all think? They'll be like, ah.
Everybody will go, yeah.
We're like, are you going to do that shit? You're like, you know what? Just get lost. I'm just getting this on with my life and get on. Because it's going to stop you from doing what you want, and you know best what you want. Perhaps you don't know how to get it. You could be wrong in doing that, but it's okay. Life is about trial and error. Who has that formula or a guidebook that, oh, here? No, we all live by trial, and it's individual. It depends
True.
on our emotions, perceptions, capacities of intellect, and so many things. So that is it. And I was very clear about how I wanted to depict each of the women characters in my book. I definitely wanted that. And I still want. There are so many characters.
That's so very beautifully put. So next question is, Radha's plan significantly changes the family's fate. Without giving too much away, what was your thought process behind this turning point in the book?
So this, like most of the things, is like personal observations, personal life lived, and, seen and everything put together. So there was an auntie that was like, I was inspired to create Radha. I had come to a point where the mother is very old and the selfish sister, I mean, not selfish sisters, but that is what they had to do. They had to get married and go away or whatever. So I was very keen that I didn't want the parents who had moved to die in poverty. I wanted something different. And that's how it happens, in most cases. If you seen how things work out in some families, that is how it works out. People take charge. They see, oh wow, my parents did this, but now they don't have any support. She's getting old, and God knows all kinds of things happens, right? I thought of that auntie who had taken charge of her family that manner, because that was a different story. Her brother had passed away and she was kind of, the next in line. But I had to do some different thing, and I just said, you know what, let me turn this lady. And Radha is always a thinking person, right? She keeps thinking about so many, I don't know, all kinds of things, and she's different than the rest. She's not interested in marriage and everything. So then I was like, okay, fine, I have to do this. The idea was to give hope in the book and not show that people die in poverty or never get out of poverty. So if I wanted that, how am I going to achieve it? And there is that younger sister. Her life is at stake. Still, they have one daughter, and they're like penniless. Now they don't have anything except debts. And somebody has to take charge. I thought, okay, if I had a boy, like, maybe the sisters who got married, their husbands helping, it doesn't speak too much for my story. That's an easy way out. So I said, nay, 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 nay. I don't want easy way out. I want somebody in. Mukta did what she could. Now, who is the other person who can do? It has to be somebody from the family. The husband is as weak as Mukta. Then I said, you know what, this is how. And how will Radha achieve that? Because even she's of marriageable age, she has to go away. But she's not going away, that is it. And she's taking charge and going away in a different way. So that is how I wanted it. And I said, this is how I'm going to do it. And I made Radha what I wanted her to be. I said, this is what she will be. And then she does everything. And of course, like, people don't like it, the parents and all that happens, but it's good. She does what she wants to do. That is what the whole essence of our book is, right? As women, we got to do what we got to do. If they can't see it later on, they will be able to realize and understand why we did something like that. That's exactly what Radha does. I'm sure so many of women do that. They leave their homes, they can't see poverty. They say, I'm going to take this step and make sure my parents don't struggle. We all do that. We step out and try to do that. So that's what she does. And the happy family is back with her.
Yeah. Her character actually reminds me of one of my favorite quotes of all time. I tell this to myself many times, and I actually have a poster in my workspace also is you are your own superhero. There's no Prince Charming coming from anywhere to, rescue you from the dragons or the dungeons. It's you fight, you meet someone midway. We are not saying that we can't have Prince Charmings, but they do meet us. But half the battle is from your end. They can't rescue you if you just, sit coyly and just keep dreaming of the world of there. So this particular character made me think of that quote so many times. You are your own superhero. You have to take things in your control.
You are, because if a woman is going through emotions, problems, feeling low, man also has the same feelings,
True.
except that they show it differently. It's not like they don't go through the same pains. They go through the same insecurities, same emotions, same everything. Why do you want to burden someone else with your load? Nobody can take other person's load. You have to carry your load, or whatever it is. You have to carry your crap on your back. As simple as that. And nobody is going to come and say, let me take it for you. So what are they going to deal with? Like two bundles? No. So you are your superhero. You put it so well.
Yeah.
And that men are from Mars, women are from, fine to some extent, but I'm sorry, we are both from a bit of Mars and bit of Venus. So
Yeah.
it's all, there is no such thing. So it's fine. So that is exactly how we have to look at ourselves. I know there is so much of noise happening about, women power, women strength, but the silent strength is what we need more than talking. We have to like do it ourselves. We are doing it. We are doing it. Oh my God, we are doing it. But a
Very,
balance.
yeah, very true. So now let's talk about your journey as a writer. So what's the best writing advice you have ever received till now?
The first thing that comes to my mind is my English teacher. She was like, keep writing. I used to be sometimes, like embarrassed of what I wrote, or, I used to think like, what happens, right? So she was like, no, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. And every writer I met, or every editor I met, or even my colleagues, were like, there is something. One of the editors, I remember saying that to me. She says, you have such a um this thing for details. You say a story with like really details, and that is the most I think amazing part you have in you. So keep working, never give up is one thing I always was told by everyone that I met, editors, friends, no matter who, the community, and supportive. So that is one thing, the journey, because you're a writer, don't give up. It will look ugly, it will look bad to you, but your perception is not what is required. The other people, because they are the ones who are going to read it.
True.
I might hate a story, I might hate a book, but it's not about me, right? It's not about fulfilling my ego. It's about putting it out there. It's not about ego. It's about creation. So I think that's the best advice I have received ever from almost all people.
Lovely. Are there any authors or books that have shaped your writing style or influenced your storytelling?
Pearl Buck, Rand, uh, Milson Boons, Blight.
Oh,
Yeah, we go through, there was a shop, general store kind of a thing that used to sell Lakme lipsticks, 12 Lakme lipsticks and two Milson Boons. If you buy 12,
wow.
it was in 1980s. I
I
was like,
heard a combination like this.
more
Wow.
more than the 12 lipsticks. I was like, oh my god, Milson Moon. My sister would be like, are you mad? Who's gonna use that? I'm like, arey, usko chodo. We'll give it to some friends and call it. But we are getting Milson Moon. That is, you know,
That was some insane marketing, I must say.
yeah, Lakme, I don't know if you look back or, find that they used to do that. I think cosmetic,
Yeah.
beautifying and, beautiful thing, whatever, I don't know. And then Fluebert, again, Madame Bovary and all those writings, plenty of these. Mostly now since you're asking me, I just realized I have been reading so much of empowering stories, not just women, but men also, So most of my reading is like empowerment, stories of empowerment. And that is exactly how I think my reading has been so far. And I still continue. Of course, I read like marketing or anything to do with promotions, anything, contemporary, non-fiction kind. So plenty of reading for sure. And then I think all put together, because I don't say, I believe that one particular genre of reading doesn't make a writer, because you need to have so many balances when you're writing a fiction. Even you need to have some idea about the contemporary thing that is happening, money situations, emotions, self-help books, so you get some emotions, and then you connect that with your personal living and then observations and write a book. So many influences, so many. But I think Pearl Buck, Rand, totally, I cannot stop reading them. I cannot stop reading them. And that is exactly and I'm very fond of Russian literature for some reason. Don't ask me why. I love Russian literature because of the grayness that it portrays, right? Russian is like very almost grayish, and I find that even the sceneries, when you imagine, you see it's all grayish. Something I don't know.
That's an impressive list, I must say. So now coming to the most interesting question, which I always wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little about your next book and what can the readers look forward to?
Next book, again, to sound almost boring, women centric, woman centric, and a little bit of other women also. So uh, this lady has her own demons she's fighting, and while she is fighting, she finds a inspiration that helps her to keep fighting her demons. And she finds this inspiration by helping another lady who is in a very dire strait and has lost her family. So she tries to find her family for her by supporting her. So there are shades of poverty again, and there is the protagonist this time is not as poor, you could say slightly even rich, so but it is still about, it's not about the background, right? You could be rich or poor, it's about how you present yourself, how you use your strengths, your inner strengths. That is exactly what I like portraying. So I put the women sometimes in poverty, sometimes rich, and then try to make that. So this is another very woman centric, and she is like, oh my God, she has all the emotions. Like, people are going to love it, I hope. I hope.
I am sure I'm definitely going to love it. I'll one of the things that I want to tell the listeners is that I had stopped reading literary fiction in between, especially from Indian writers, because I felt that it was either too dark and broody, where you end up getting upset by the end of the book, or it was too preachy, and I didn't want either. And for a change, I read Ranga's book. It's neither of these two. She's not preachy. She's not broody. She's not into the dark space. And that's what made it more interesting for me to read. And I actually loved reading. I will be very honest. I was little scared because, as I told this, that what if it just ends up being too dark? I don't want to enter that space. Because some books have that power to make you feel very depressed and low for like weeks. I remember I couldn't finish Paulo Coelho's Veronica Decides to Die for like months. Months. I mean, that character's desire to kill herself was so strong. I just had to keep keeping the book, just putting it aside. And I'm like, no, I can't read that. It's just getting over my thoughts. So then, when you're not ready to get into that kind of space, and ask some confrontational questions to yourself, you don't want to read a book that makes you feel broody. But yours was a welcome change. I love your approach. It's neither and it's not giving me any gyan. I don't want to be preached. I want to be told a story. I want to enjoy a story. I want to see how it happens and let me draw my conclusions. So that was one of the biggest strong points from your writing, that I said, okay, she's allowing me to conclude. It's all open for interpretation. And I'm sure every reader will have a different interpretation of the characters' journeys and all. And that's the beauty of your book. And I'm definitely going to look forward to your next one. That's for
Thank you
sure.
so much. Because what is literature? It's about
Yes.
discussions. If I want to sit there and make a judgment and tell the world
Yeah.
how, I mean, come on, come on. We are all evolving. You
Yeah,
mean to
true.
say I know everything? Oh, come on. Bullshit. 62, I still don't know. I'm just clueless as whoever, 18, 13-year-old or whatever. I have no clue. So that is okay. It's like we evolve with time. So nobody can say that, oh, let me tell the world this, how to die, how to live, how to get married, how to stay perfectly happy and all that. No, no, please excuse me. I can't do that.
Yeah. So, where can listeners find Butterflies of Success and how can they connect with you?
uh, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, X, former X, Instagram. And my handles you'll find as Ranga Iyer or Rand debut novelist or all that. And of course, it's available on Amazon. So my book is there on Amazon. I think it's there on Kubu or what is that? There is another platform. It's called,
Flipkart?
no, not Flipkart. I think I forget the name, but yeah, Amazon. Everybody is on Amazon, so
I'll
you
put
can.
all the links to her social media and the books, links to the books in the description box for this video, where you can find. Do read her book, do leave a feedback, and do connect, because that's the best thing for any writer. That's what they thrive on: your feedback, your connections, and your appreciation. So, this brings us to the last question, Ranga. What advice would you give to aspiring writers, especially those, wanting to tell stories of resilience and hope?
Be true to yourself first. Can you say that story from your observations, from your readings, from your I don't say that everybody has to have that experience of lived a life, but if you can, it's fantastic. But first thing is be true to yourself. See what story is inside you.
Yeah.
Is it about romance, finding strength in romance, or is it about dire straits and finding strength? That is where resilience actually sits, that's a
True.
throne. It's where it sits. So you find that. And if I think all of us are attracted by strong stories, strong characters or strong anything with strength and how to overcome those challenges because are we all want happy endings regardless. We all want happy endings because life does give us happy endings. It's just the perspective, how we look at it. We'll say, I lost something, but also look at what you gained. So that is exactly how you will look at life. Don't make it gloomy by saying, I lost something. Fine, you lost it, but then how you can get it back.
True.
Say
True.
that
Very
to the
true.
reader, just
Yeah.
say that I lost this. If you lose this, you can find it this way because I'm on the road to find that as well.
Right.
That is exactly how you write stories about strength and resilience. And that is how writers can actually say these kind of stories. It's okay, whatever it is, be true to yourself. It is gloomy, so be it. It's okay. People who love that will read it. There is an audience for all kinds of reading. Don't stop yourself from writing. Just write what you have in you, work on it, keep it going regardless of rejections. And it's a fact of life in writing community for authors. Rejections are your best friend. They will nudge you, accept them, don't stop. Give it a break, go back to something else and come back and start again pushing your, start hustling, like go to agents, go to this, go to that and start working. So writers, I want more writers. I want more writers like young adults and all genres. I think we need plenty of writers who can say stories. We
Yeah.
Indian writers, we are not, I don't know. We just have to do a lot more. And especially women writers. I'm looking forward to your book. You've been saying that you're writing a book. What's happening with yours?
Actually, I have got some 8 manuscripts with me ready, and I'm working on the ninth one right now. But I have not got them published. I have not even started submitting them or anything. I just write because it makes me feel very good. And then I work with authors and everything that I do. So I'm like, okay, we'll do this. We'll do this gradually when I'm ready for the world to see the story. As of now, I need to get that off my chest. So yes, there are many first drafts. Some are in the fifth, sixth draft. Sometimes I go back, some incident triggers, and I'm like, oh, okay, that needs to be changed now given this context in that particular thing. So that's kind of, I've made an imaginary world where I keep going back whenever, I want to cut off from the real world. So I enjoy that break. I enjoy that break where I'm just with my characters and I'm sitting and I'm planning and I'm doing my research and all. So that's kind of my outlet.
No, no. It's a beautiful thing. And what I want, like when I saw the review, my book's review by you, I told my family, I said, she is the one who has perceived it like so apt, as if, I'm writing my own review. And I told my niece, I was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Huh, re? She just got it. And it's a rare thing because only one writer who's in the same kind of mindset can do that for another writer. Because if I review some of the, I keep doing some odd reviews here and there. So I am not as professional as you or other reviewers, but I just give my opinion, which is so bad. It's not, review should not be about opinions, and that is why I stopped. So I'm not able to get that kind of a thing, but you are, above that, sensitive yet so logical. You can detach and see the story,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. That's how writers should be. I can do that with my writing, but you have the combination of being a reviewer. I'm sure your writing will be like top notch. Looking
Thank you.
forward to
Thank you
that.
so much.
I'm sure
Thank
we'll
you.
be
Thank you so.
connected throughout. I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to your writing as well. I mean, the book. I see your writing on your blogs and everything, and you're doing a fabulous job. Hey, I love your show where you're, talking about books into movies.
Yes.
Wow, that is such a beautiful. I love that. I love all your
Thank you so much.
stories.
That's one part that I love doing the most. I love recording that, and I love movies. I can talk about movies, and I watched it across languages in India. That's the best part, you know. That you can
Yeah.
watch a Malayalam movie, you can watch the Tamil movie next, you can watch a Bhojpuri movie, and then you go back to a Gujarati movie, and it's fun. And there's so many books which they have adapted, and it's such a joy to every time I see a book, I'm like, oh, this is what I need to talk about now. Let me take notes. So I started having a movie journal where I actually take notes from the movies that I watch for those podcast episodes,
Oh my
and
God.
it's been fun. It's been fun planning those episodes and all.
But I love your energy. I love you're into so many things and doing everything equally well, which is touch
Thank you
wood.
so much.
Absolutely. No, no, beautiful. And beautiful human being. Guys, she's such a beautiful human being. I can't say enough. I maintain this throughout, regardless of how you criticize my book, hate my writing. I will maintain this because that's being true. Fantastic, Namrata. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ranga. It was wonderful talking to you. Finally, we get to see each other face to face and speak here, and it was beautiful. Thank you so much for such a heartfelt conversation.
My pleasure, and I wish you the best of luck. And I'm sure this will be a roaring success. It is already like so many. Oh my God, I'm like, this writer, I have to watch and go back and watch. So much to learn. You're doing a fabulous service for the writing community, and because I wouldn't know unless I see on your show and I say, oh wow, I did not know this poet. And I can't, I mean, I have plenty, but I don't want to take a couple of names, but I love them all. Because I learned so much from them.
True,
It's a
very true.
beautiful thing you're doing. Thank you so much on
Thank
behalf
you
of the
so much.
community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.